Dr. Eleanor Wilkinson is a feminist geographer from the University of Southampton in the UK. She's interested in exploring the intersections between intimacy, culture, and political economies. Today, she'll be exploring the impacts of the emergence of compulsory coupledom on women's lives that choose to be single by choice.
My lecture today was about the binary between the single and the coupled. So it was based on an empirical project I conducted in Britain, interviewing 40 single childless people. And I was speaking mainly with people who saw their single status as something that was either permanent or long-term. And in terms of geography, I was wanting to think about how single people may feel excluded or stigmatized in certain spaces. So looking at things such as the workspace, leisure spaces, and home spaces. I guess this topic, I came to it, my training is through feminism to begin with, then I came into geography. My background, I've always been interested in sort of feminist literature, feminist utopian fiction. So I've been interested in thinking about alternative ways of living and doing care. So I was really interested in terms of current debates in Britain around same-sex marriage and thinking about who is excluded from these imaginings of what makes a family. And so I think single people are really interested in terms of how do you do care in later life if you're single without children, and what sort of alternative forms of care are being practiced that aren't being investigated or looked into. So I think it's just a really interesting topic to focus on in this current climate.
Yet while it may appear that we have greater choice about who we love, what I'm arguing is that the obligation to choose still remains, and that there's this underlying assumption that everyone desires to be in some form of couple relationship. So I'm arguing that while we may have more choices, do we ever have the choice not to choose?
In the 1980s, Adrienne Rich was working on what she termed compulsory heterosexuality, and I'm really interested in what happens if heterosexuality is no longer presumed. So if the state is recognizing same-sex partnerships, then what is compulsory? Do we really have unlimited freedom to do what we want? So instead, I'm developing the notion of compulsory coupledom to think about how, even though we have a broader range of sexualities that are now included in the legal framework, there are still people who are not in a couple who are excluded.
So what I'm doing in my work then is I'm wanting to take seriously the queer theorist Michael Cobb's suggestion, and he kind of says it playfully, but what he says is we might want to attach the letter S to the LGBTQ acronym in order to affiliate those who are single with the ever-elongating list of non-majority sexualities.